Blessings, blessings, everyone. This is Dr. David D. King with Kingdom Holistic Health Ministries, our first show. And I'm excited to be with you guys on today. I have some experts for you guys that's going to be a blessing to each and every one of your life and to explain a little bit about Kingdom Holistic Ministries. We are a ministry that want to make sure the total man is taken care of. First of all, I am not a doctor of medicine. I am a doctor of theology. So I want y'all to understand that I'm not trying to practice medicine or deal with your body. I got experts that would do that for me. But Kingdom Holistic Health Ministry, you can't be a good witness for God if your body is broken down. You can't go do the will of God if your body is all broken down. So what we decided to help you guys get the information that you need so that you will be a better person mentally, physically, and spiritually. And I have some amazing God-fearing doctors that is on the show with me today, and I'm gonna bring them on one by one that they can introduce themselves to you and to tell you more about them. And first one is Dr. J, and I'm gonna bring him on and give him the floor. Go right ahead, Dr. J.
All right. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Kingdom Holistic Health Ministries. Very proud to be a part of this. My name is Dr. J. Paul VANDEN. I was born and raised in Wisconsin for 62 years, but I just recently moved to Florida, get a little sun, a little relaxation. But I've had a private practice for close to 40 years. I've been in medicine for 45 years. I worked allopathic, I worked naturopathic, holistic. I've done integrative. I've done many different specialties. I've had the luxury to author 6 different books. I've written hundreds of articles. I've done hundreds of webinars. I've taught all over the world. I've seen over 25,000 people in my practice. So I'm a little bit semi-retired until Dr. David King reached out to me and asked me to be a part of this wonderful mission and theology, which I totally concur with and am happy to be a part of. So I do a lot of integrative medicine. I have a PhD in integrative medicine. I have a PhD in holistic medicine, and I have a PhD in naturopathic medicine. I have a doctorate in integrative medicine, and I have a doctorate in naturopathy. So 3 PhDs, 2 doctorates. I have 4 boards. What does that mean? It just means I've studied a lot, and I've been to a lot of different educations. What I've learned along the way, and I'll make this quick, is just simply that your body is the most wonderful healer that God has ever made. And all we really have to do is help your body get the right tools, the right energy to help itself, to heal itself. It happens no other way. Doctors are meant to educate, not to just diagnose, treat, and prescribe. So what we're bringing you today, along with my contemporaries and cohorts, is simply a different approach using God's medicine. As the Bible says, your fruit shall be your food and your fruit shall be your medicine, is absolutely apropos and even more important today with the toxicities, whether that be environmental or from lifestyle or stress, that we are under constantly in the poor standard American diet. So we have got a lot to talk about today, but I just wanted to give you a little background that I can help in a lot of integrative ways. And what does that mean? It means that there's a time and a place for medication. There's a time and a place for surgery. But there's a lot that can be done under your power on a daily basis with some simple instruction. And that's what me and the other doctors want to bring to you, is information, education to help you have a better life and to do God's work and to take care of the temple that you've been given. Because unfortunately, there's a lot of information out there, as we found out in the last couple of years, that is misinformation. And so we want to bring you the truth. We want to bring you nature. We want to bring you God's will. So that's my spiel, and I'll sit back and we'll go from there. Thank you, David.
Thank you, sir. And next we're going to bring Dr. HUSTON and let her tell everybody about who she is.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Dr. CHARISSE HUSTON, I am a second generation chiropractor and healer. And basically, I second everything Dr. J has just shared in that I myself have not just had the doctorate and the educational background, but I've also been raised with the principles that he's referring to and that we'd like to share with you because we were made in the image and likeness of the Most High God. That's biblical. And today we're not really taught about how our power is accessible and how to amplify it, or even that we have it. So, doctor means teacher, and I've spent a great deal of my professional life. I've been in practice for 33, 34 years, but I was raised by a chiropractor with these holistic principles, and I've seen things heal that aren't supposed to heal. The textbooks will tell you there is no cure. Well, that's because I'm just grateful that the body doesn't read the textbooks, because the body can heal and it does heal itself if you know how. And as Dr. Jane expressed, there is time for medicine. It is just not going to create wellness and healing. The body does the healing. So in my practice, I've had numerous opportunities. I've practiced it with women and their challenges specific to them. I've worked with special needs children, and I've done pregnancy and delivery. Yes, children need to have a healthy nervous system, and that's really what controls and directs the body's function is your nervous system. Most people don't know how their bodies work, so I'm passionate about sharing that information and helping raise healthy children, especially now I feel like they're targeted, and healthy families, and helping people to see that there is opportunity to have a greater understanding for your body's ability and what you can do for it. And I think that it comes at a very pivotal time because we are, like Dr. J said, there's a whole lot of misinformation out there. So I've had the pleasure of being the chiropractor for one of the Team USAs. I traveled to Europe. My daughter was one on a skating team, was able to take care of athletes. So if you have a spine and a nervous system, you qualify for care. It's not just about pain, it's about how your body is functioning. And we would like to show you how we can enhance that performance, regardless of the condition or where you're at. So thank you for having me this morning. I'm super excited about this project. So thank you.
Amen. And I want to say to both of y'all, thank you. When I shared the vision with you guys, that you guys was on board, and this is what the body of Christ need. We need people in you guys' profession to educate us, give us the information we need to make sure that we can live a long jeopardy life, and making sure that we're taking care of the temple the way God wants us to take care of the temple. So I'm excited about it. And there's a question that is up right now, and I'm going to throw it on the screen. 1 second. Make sure that there we go. And I will put it up there. There you go.
Okay, so what is chiropractic and does it affect the body and my health? Well, chiropractic is an art, a science, and philosophy that says that your body was created with immense intelligence. It was created by the Most High God. And so with that came a lot of power and a lot of opportunity for self-healing. Okay, the nervous system was the first thing that was created when you were conceived, and it's encased in the spinal column. So the nervous system and the spinal column act as a circuit breaker. Every single level of the spine correlates with body function and body parts. And the body is always breaking down and it's always repairing. So we want to make sure that the repair mechanism is free and clear, and the communication system is free and clear. So there are things that happen in life, different types of stresses, whether they're chemical, physical, or emotional, that will interrupt those messages and can misalign vertebrae. And you may not even feel that because not all the nerves in the nervous system are sensory or have feeling parts to them. So in my interpretation, I practice basically the pure form of chiropractic, where the body actually will perform well with a properly functioning nervous system. And I teach people how to integrate various pillars that help to build great health and healing. You need clean air, you need a healthy diet, you need proper rest and recuperation, among other things, to generate healthy tissue cells and to keep the body functioning properly, which will then give you greater healing. So if there's a vertebrae that's misaligned, it'll interrupt the communication of the brain to the body. And then the messages get garbled and the body starts to malfunction. So I restore the proper integrity, body, mind, and spirit, and allow the body to do what it was designed to. But my honor is I get to participate in someone's journey along the way. So.
Amen. All right. So this question is for both of y'all. I'm going to put up. And there it is. So either one, y'all can tell me who want to go first and share with this.
Okay. Well, pretty simple. Holistic means the whole, right? So when we say the whole, I always look at it as we are not just physical beings. God is energy. God is light. God created the universe and created light. And we are of that matter, that energy, that thought. What does that mean? It means that we have more than a physical body. We have emotions. We have a mind, right? We think. We have a soul. We have a conscience. All of those things require an equal amount of care. And part of the big problem with medicine today, and the reason it's so broken, and I'm sure Dr. Houston would agree, and please, I want her to give her interpretation of holistic, is to understand that if you're not caring for the soul, you're not caring for the mind, you're not caring for the emotions, and you're just focusing on the physical, you're missing almost 80% of who you are. So we are multidimensional beings. We are made in his image. So we have to understand that all aspects, all dimensions of you need to be addressed. So you're not just a pile of chemicals. You're not just a bunch of organic tissue. You have a mind, you have a soul, and those things are equally important in the physical health. Things can manifest when we have mental disorders, we have emotional disorders, we have spiritual disorders. The body will follow that energy. It's all about energy. And one of the things I want the listeners to understand is that's what we're about here, is energy. This is all about energy. And that's what holism means. Mind, body, spirit, and to care for all of those. Not just a drug, not just a surgery, but to care for all the energies that God has given you. What do you think, CHARISSE?
That's well said, my friend, because thoughts carry frequency also. And if you have emotions, we all are emotional beings. We express joy. Joy gives us strength. That's biblical, right? Well, if you walk around worried all the time, or if you have unforgiveness in your heart and you don't release that, you're actually going to manifest. You can manifest something in your physical body. And the body works according to law and order, but most of us have never been introduced to those. And so that's what makes it hard for Dr. J to retire, or myself, because nobody's doing, we've got to do the work. If we don't tell you, how are you ever going to know? And if we keep following the same recipes that don't work or don't have, that don't have the highest success rates, then I feel like I was called to do this work. I'm pretty sure you feel the same, that we could actually help people live at a higher level, which is what God has called us to do on earth as it is in heaven. To really be able to see healing, we have to be able to open our minds, our hearts, and really hear the opportunity that's present, because healing doesn't come from a pill, potion, or a lotion. It's an integrated aspect, as Dr. J was saying, in the whole being, not just your physical. It's the whole. It usually is in the mind before it's actually manifest in the body. the symptoms and the disease.
Great partnership. Thank you for that. That's why this is so important. And everybody that's listening, please stay tuned because we have a lot more to give you.
Right.
And I'm so glad that you guys broke it that way, because a lot of people, and this is one of the reasons why Kingdom Holistic Health Ministry is birthed, because a lot of people doesn't understand the stress mentally that they put on themselves that tear down their bodies, the unforgiveness that tears down the body. Can you guys touch on those things so people can really understand where's it coming from? And I, I watched a documentary where they took marijuana, and some of the marijuana, they took out the stuff that gets you high. And so they had 20 people, 10 smoked the marijuana that had the stuff to get you high in it, and 10 didn't have it in there. And they all smoked it. And the 10 that didn't have it mentally thought they was just as high as the ones that got it. So understanding the power of the mind, and this is why the enemy attacks our mind.
That's right.
Can you guys just dive in there right quick?
Go ahead, Charisse.
Okay, so this is one of the things that is really forefront in my heart and in my mind when I'm working with patients all the time, is like the power of the spoken word. And your brain actually doesn't perceive what's real or not. So if you believe something, you are going to have the same physiological responses. For example, let me break it down even further. Let's say somebody insulted you and you got into a fight with them verbally and it really upset you. If you haven't forgiven and let go of that, when I come to speak with you and you start to tell me about that situation again, if you speak to the problem, your brain is going to activate and you're going to start to produce chemicals that are going to have you feeling like you were right there again, once again, even though that may have happened years ago, because your brain can't tell the difference between what's happening now versus what happened then. It's based on your emotion, and your emotion will activate certain chemical responses in your body. So if you can, forgiveness is a tough thing, but if you can be willing to forgive, and the scripture tells us, how that we're supposed to forgive 70 times 7. And we're supposed to, it's really a pill that we take for ourselves, of a pill of relief, if you will. Or when we forgive someone, we release those chemicals, we release that stronghold that's on us, because it becomes a cycle. If you keep talking about the same story, the same negative story, and still have the same type of emotional response, you're going to manifest it in your body, just based on the fact that your brain is designed with such intelligence. But it will take you right back to that feeling if you let it, and you're actually directing that power. Would you agree, Dr. J?
Absolutely. And that question right there, David, we could probably go on for an hour. You talk about a couple different things, right? One of them was almost borders along the placebo effect, right? Is how you can make a generalization or you can make a suggestion, and the power of mind can take over. And that is so critical to understand. And want all the listeners to understand that is really powerful. Even when you're a little tiny person, right? You're a little tiny human. You're coming into this world. You're under the guidance of your parents and your church and your school. And there are some negative players out there. There's some evil in the world. And they can influence us, right? They can influence us. And then our mind gets involved. We start with negative, or what's called automatic negative thoughts, right? Call them ants. And they get in your head and they mess with you. Then what happens is that energy gets translated to the consciousness of the cell. So hang on for a second. I'll try to make this understandable, but every single cell in your body has consciousness. That used to be a hypothesis and is now a scientific fact. What does that mean? It means we have roughly 80 to 100 trillion cells in our bodies. We all have cells, and all those cells think and feel like you do as a whole. So one little cell in your fingernail, one little cell in your kidney, they have feelings and they think and they feel like you do. Where am I going with that? Well, imagine if 80 or 100 trillion cells is listening to you looking in the mirror about how fat you are, or I'm overweight, I don't like how I look, I'm stupid, I'm dumb. Well, you're telling 100 trillion cells the same thing over and over. What will happen? Dis-ease. You will manifest illness, and that happens. So that's what we mean by holistic. Sometimes it isn't that you have a bad lifestyle or you've had bad environmental influence, but maybe it was an emotional connection, like unforgiveness. Maybe it was a mental torture, a spiritual torture. Maybe you have not given yourself to Christ consciousness. You're going to suffer, right? So we feel resentful, we feel inflexible, we feel bitter, we feel that life is unfair, we're a victim, right? And what is God teaching us? Acceptance and forgiveness, right? Taking responsibility rather than dumping it on somebody else. And one of the messages I wanted to get across today is simply that. Every single person listening has a responsibility and an obligation to take care of their temple that God has given them. They get one body, one life. If you want help, that's what this show is about. That's what these podcasts are about. That's what Kingdom Holistic Health Ministries is going to do for you. We're going to bring players in here to help educate you, and we're going to give you deep discounts, and we're going to teach you that it's your responsibility to take care of yourself. Not the pharmacy, not Walgreens, not CVS, not the government. You are responsible for you. And I want to get that message across, because once you understand that, then you can take responsibility for your physical health, your emotional health, your mental health, and your spiritual health. And if you're stuck, we're going to help you.
Right.
Wow.
So, if I may, David, so to what he was saying, as well as the example you gave, just the belief that you are high and you are feeling better is something that you're telling yourself, and your body is producing endorphins and enkephalins. Just like when you forgive somebody, those are feel-good chemicals. They make you feel better. So you may be, you can talk yourself into everything. You can talk yourself into having a great day. You can talk yourself into, oh, it's going to be a terrible day. Well, whatever you believe for you is absolutely right. And that goes to speak again to the battlefield of the mind. But it is so very powerful. That's why examples like you shared actually happen. You can actually not have any THC, but feel like you're floating on cloud nine.
Okay, someone wrote, and it didn't pop up there. It says, most people don't have a biblical concept of forgiveness, which allows cycles to happen in our lives, thus leading to hypertension, strokes, and other diseases
Right.
in the body. Any one of y'all want to touch on that?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Go
Who wants
ahead.
to go first?
You can go first.
Okay. That is a great question. And whatever listener sent that in is very educated from the understanding that, yeah, you are absolutely correct. Now you're talking about 80% of the people on planet Earth that have forgotten God. I'm going to say, I feel safe on this podcast. I'm just going to say that. And that's one of the missions that I have, is to get people to remember God. How do you do that? By understanding your own divinity, that you are a child of God, you were made in the image of God, right? People are forgetting that. So the physical body becomes very stiff, inflexible, almost bitter when the soul is being stymied, when the soul is being crushed, when the soul is being pushed in a negative direction, whether that be toxic people, responsibilities, whatever. But how do you do that from a biblical sense? Well, that's part of what Dr. Houston and I do. We try to help people understand that you have trapped emotions in your body. You have a belief system in you that needs healing. And that's what God is all about. I believe healing happens first at the spiritual level. Then it comes into the mental capacity, and then it translates as physical. Disease is the same way. I'm telling you, I've been doing this a long time, and I can stand anecdotally on this and say this. I've seen over 25,000 people. I already mentioned that. I've studied both allopathic and naturopathic. Holistic, I've studied TCM, Ayurvedic, you name it, I've done it. Holistic, Reiki, reflexology, I've done it all. Here's one thing I've learned is 80% of all disease I've ever seen in my practice is the energy came first.
Right.
And
Yes.
many times the disease is manifested, and that's exactly how the dark side works. That's exactly how Satan works. You introduce a false concept, and then the body follows. So when people ask, how do we do that from a biblical perspective? We have to understand that spiritual health has to come into play.
Mm.
Healing has to happen in order for the mind to heal, for the body to follow. They're all connected. I
Right.
see no difference.
Now you mentioned Reiki. I'm you know me, I'm country, so I might not be announcing it right, but Reiki. Can you talk about that for a minute? Because some people that's in the body of Christ think that's witchcraft.
No.
So can you talk about that for a minute? And the reason I'm so glad you brought it up is because what we don't understand, we always take it to the evil. So can you break that down?
So if you don't mind, Dr. Houston, I'll just jump in with that. Okay. I've been all over the world. I've studied in China. I've studied in India. I've studied in England. I've studied in Russia. I've studied in Germany. You know, I can do this all day. I studied all over Canada, all over the US. The common denominators are always the same. Christ showed us the power to heal with his hands, the true believer. And he showed us that what true belief can do. Okay? That's an energy. What the Japanese did is they followed that same Christ consciousness. Reiki is not something that is separate from the Lord. If you look back into the history of Japanese medicine, they're the ones that crafted what they call Reiki, which actually came from Catholicism, believe it or not, because it was a hands-on healing aspect that they took to heart, and they actually began practicing it. Is it a dark side? No. Everything I've always seen is nothing but for good. So sometimes there's a misinformation, there's a miseducation, somebody spun it the wrong way. I get that. Bottom line, I'm not here to talk about what's good or bad or evil. All I'm telling you is that, you know, you have to look into someone's eyes and you have to look into someone's heart to understand that. I've had people already look at me and say, Dr. J, you do muscle testing. I've seen you do that. That's the devil's work. And I sit back and go, what? I'm a doctor. I took an oath. First, do no harm. What makes you think I would do something like that? And then I have to have a conversation with them and to explain what kinesiology is, an actual study of science at the University of Wisconsin-Madison. Why are you making fun of me? So I think sometimes you're absolutely right, David, is that people are quick to judge without understanding everything. These ancient philosophies, these ancient medicines have all one thing in common: God. I've studied them. I know that. Even the Tibetan Book of Dying, where the Tibetan monks do nothing but spend their whole lives preparing for the afterlife. Is that weird? I don't know. And that's a discussion for another day. But my point is I think there are many paths up the mountain, and we all have the same way of trying to get to the top. We just want to get to the top. I just want to get to God, right? And I don't think that form of energy medicine is a negativity in any way. Not when I've studied it myself and I've been taught by Reiki masters from Japan, and I realized that they have God in their life. That's the most important thing. So that's if you can add to that, Dr. Houston, I'd appreciate it.
Absolutely. So when I work with a patient and they're on my table, the whole process of getting to know them and where they're at and what's going on with them is an exploratory phase in the initial consultation. So when we get to the actual mechanism of going to remove interference between their ears or their nervous system or anything, I lay hands on people. And what you're talking about, Dr. J, is in essence the energy of love being transferred from one individual to another, from one soul to another, to remove any interference. Mm-hmm. And that's the beauty of what I do as a chiropractor as well. I lay hands on people, and there is a significant amount of healing that comes through the touch that's well researched and what have you, whether it's Reiki or anything else. But people are quick to judge that which they don't understand, which you said. But I also tell people, well, I don't tell them, but I pray over them when I'm adjusting them, because I want to offer up that adjustment up to God. We've already, all three of us have agreed that God is our CEO, no matter what practice we're doing and coming together for this kingdom holistic ministry. God is the CEO, and he commands us to serve at the highest level. And that's what we do, whether it's through Reiki or not. It is a service to life. And many times people want to speak to the negative. Now that we've discovered what the problem is, they want to talk more about the problem. And I let them, I let it go for a minute, and then I ask them, well, we've already discovered where the problem came from and what is causative. So why don't we, if we've discovered what we need to do to move in a different energy or a different direction, let's speak to the healing. That's what I'm going to be speaking over you every time you come in. I'm not going to just say, how are you doing today? I'm going to lay hands on you and I'll know how you're doing. But we want to speak always to the healing, because there's power of life and death in the tongue. And that's the Bible in application according to Proverbs. So we always want to speak, there's healing scriptures. We want to speak to that. And that's where we give our attention and our focus, because that will expand and enhance the healing process.
Exactly. Quite the question.
Very, very intense question, but good one. Very good.
So I'm gonna throw up another one, a question, because I think that some people need to know this right here, because of the fact. Oh, what happened? No, go back. Give me a second. I was typing in the wrong spot. So go ahead and keep talking while I type this up.
Yeah, I just want to add to that is that in no way, shape, or form are we here to promote or condone a therapy. The purpose of today's discussion is to help anyone understand what Kingdom Holistic Ministries is going to be about and the people that are involved. And hopefully, by listening to us, you get a sense of who we are and you understand, like Dr. CHARISSE just said, who we're all working for. And to me, that's the most important part of all, is that we answer to only one God. And that first and foremost never changes. However, if there's ever something that somebody's uncomfortable with, that's why we want to be on here, to at least give you a different perspective, more scientific, more based in what is good and holistic. No way, shape, or form are we ever here to harm anyone. You know, I have oaths all over my wall here that just say the same thing over and over: first, do no harm. Yet I know a lot of, and I hate to say it because I worked in allopathic medicine, I saw a lot of harm. I worked in surgery. I know. I worked in ER. I know. I saw a lot of harm. And that's why I no longer work that side of the fence. I decided to get into holistic medicine, integrative medicine, because I wanted to make sure that whatever I was giving somebody, whatever it was, whether it is an herb or a tincture or a homeopathic, or it is a technique, or it is an energy, it's always in a positive, loving manner with the help of God. That's
and saying that, I've been taking bitter herbs, and when I first started taking it, was like, oh my God, this is terrible. But now my body is craving it. It's like I can't miss a day, right? And I'm sitting here in my head. It's like, I know this is good for me, but it's terrible. But my body is craving it, and
Right.
But I won't take medicine. I'd rather go through pain than take a medicine. But then I'm doing things differently now. So here's the question that I have for you guys. If I wanted to have a visit from you guys, or if I wanted to be examined by you guys, what do that process look like?
Go ahead, CHARISSE.
Well, basically, depending on the situation, there's a couple of ways that you could have an evaluation from me. Dr. David, you and I have talked about me physically being on the premise of the church, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or I have a portable table and I have a bunch of tools that I could actually do a house call and come to you. And or you could come into my downtown location. I'm currently the clinic director for the chiropractic company. Now the work I do here is limited to some of the protocols we shared about, but it is a preliminary and a starting point. But it depends on what your goals are. First, I would consult on the phone and find out what it is you're looking to accomplish, and then create some sort of protocol that would be specific to your needs or your family's needs.
Okay.
All right. And then for me, I'm currently doing most of my work over Zoom, which is telehealth. And I know for those that are listening that don't have access to things like laptops or a cell phone or whatever, the Kingdom Holistic Health Ministries may be able to provide that technology for you. So currently right now, I usually do like a 1 hour appointment with people. I'm working more from the lifestyle, the environment, the stress components. So I really don't need to be on a physical location as much as Dr. Houston can do, but she can do a lot of things that I do, and I can do some things that she does. So we're a great team, and we work with each other, we network with each other, we love each other, and we both have the same vision. So that's why we're here. Is that we believe that between the two of us we can provide a lot of service. So what I do is something called an AO scan, and that's just a technology, basically that it's like a digital body analyzer. Bottom line is all I need is a voice recording, which is super simple. I need about 10 seconds and some background information. And it's simple as that. And this technology has been around for about 30 years. It started in Russia and Germany, Spain, and Asia. It came into the US and Canada. But it's based on the work of Nikola Tesla, Dr. Royal Rife, Albert Einstein, even all the way to the Bible. Believe it or not, is still rooted in that frequency and energy of understanding, let there be light, all the way to quantum physics that explains what light is, that it can be both a particle and a wave, which nobody can explain in physics today, other than it must be God. Biophysicists in Germany, and Russia kind of pioneered this whole thing of saying that, there are frequencies in every human. Every single human, regardless of color, race, creed, I don't care what you look like today, you have 120,000 different frequencies in your body, and every single person has the same frequencies. In other words, a heart puts out a sound, a kidney puts out a sound, a tissue, a cellular structure puts out a vibration, a toxin, a chemical, a poison puts out a vibration, a bacteria, good or bad, puts out a vibration. Everything has energy. So if you could map all these frequencies, and they're all the same for each person, you can find out where there's highs and lows in those frequencies, right? Where there's highs and lows. All you want is all your frequencies in the middle. If they're askew either way, you got disease. You either go less or more. It's like the three bears. I say this all the time. When I'm analyzing people, it's like the three bears. Either you don't have enough, or you got too much, or you're just right. And if you're just right, you're probably not talking to me. But if you don't have enough, or you have too much, you're in trouble. You're looking for help. What is that? Analyze those frequencies and you can pinpoint where that's coming from. So the researchers have found that the health of an organ, a tissue, a system, a structure is all based on these frequencies in the body. And so by analyzing your voice, all those microcurrent frequencies are in there. And you can actually get a printout that I can send to you in real time as we're talking. So can Dr. Houston. Mm-hmm. It will give you complete information about what types of foods you may want to avoid, what's going on in your emotional life, what's going on with the energies through your body that can help in chiropractic, what's going on with the organs, the tissues. And that helps us determine what we can do with your air, your water, your food, which are all within your control, believe it or not. What you do for your practical care, whether it's chiropractic, massage, or whatever you may be doing. And what we can do from a supplement perspective, because in this world, you can't get by without supplements anymore. If you think you can, you're very uneducated. okay? Because you just went through 4 years of you know what, and everybody screamed at you about vitamin D and zinc. And that was just scratching the surface of what you need to combat what's being thrown at you. And that's what we're here for. We're not here to make money. We're here to work for God. And I'll stop it with this because I want people to know, because they're like, what's this going to cost? Look, you want my services in Chicago, Milwaukee, it's $500 an hour. Out of pocket. That's crazy. I don't charge that, but that's what I could get. I could absolutely get that, no problem. I don't want to do that. I usually charge $120 an hour. I'm cheap. After I told you about my accolades, I'm not going to speak for Dr. Houston. But I want to be a part of this so bad. And I love what David has put together. And I can't applaud him enough for what he's doing. That I'm willing to knock that down to $80 an hour for if you're part of the Kingdom Holistic Health Ministry.
Right. That's the key.
Okay. And usually it takes an hour for an initial appointment because you need an hour to go through everything and make a plan. But then follow-ups are usually every 3 months, and they're only a half hour, and that would be 50. Yeah, you're going to have to probably get some supplementation. We're going to point you in a direction where you get the best. You get the highest quality, the least contaminated, the highest efficacy, no contaminants, run over by 600 tests. We're going to make sure that whatever we put in your body is pure gold. It's what God intended, the way the herbs were supposed to be made. That creates a healing. Like David just said, I don't know why I'm drinking bitters, but my body and all my cells are telling me to keep doing it. That must be all that consciousness I just talked about, right? You got 100 trillion people talking to you, David, saying, don't stop the bitters.
Right.
I could go on for an hour about why. But my point being is I want to press upon you, what does that cost? The average person I work with, in my normal rates, I would say probably it's $5 a day. And over 90 days, I can usually tackle a big chunk of what's going on. And so can Dr. Houston. That's just from what we offer from scanning and figuring out what to do with your lifestyle. That's pretty cheap when you consider most people walk into my office with a $7 Starbucks latte.
Right.
Which one is going to heal you?
Yes.
We want to put good things into you. We want to give you great advice. We're not just here to sell you things and supplements and treatments.
Right.
We're giving you holistic advice, what you can do with your diet, what you can do with your air, your water, your food, your prayer, your exercise, your yoga, whatever it may be. We have spiritual help here. We have emotional help. We have mental help. We have physical help for you. That's what's coming to you through this ministry. So I'll turn it over to Dr. Houston. What do you think?
Well, no, I didn't even include the AO scan, but I'm able also to do telehealth. And you and I had talked about our normal charges for an hour and a half hour, and I second everything you say. I can do it over telehealth as well. But I will say this, if you want to scan, you should be all in, because we're not going to try to convince you that you need to do this. We won't chase you, nothing like that. You've got to really take a hard look at yourself and go, okay, what things need to change? And am I really ready to do that? Because it will require changes. But going the distance, 90 days is the baseline for any kind of change in anything relative to the body. So being prepared to stay on the supplements we recommend, because we can actually monitor them. If you go AWOL and try to get a Walmart brand, and it's not going to work. It's really all about, we are goal oriented to help you get the most success in the best and least amount of time, but to really get you back on all rails, to get your body in a healing mode, because there's a whole lot, I don't know how much you read, but there's a whole lot of sick people out there, and they're getting sicker, and they're changing up our food here. We need to be very aware of that. So, there's a lot that you really need to become responsible for you, which is really where the healing is going to take effect the most, is when you are really all in on your own journey for your health care.
Yeah, and that's entirely up to you how you want to deal with that. We're here for you, but I'll echo that as well. If you're not in for 90 days, then don't even start. Right. But what I tell people is after 90 days, you're going to know. Why 90 days? Because every 90 days, you replace 100% of your red blood cells. So if we need to do an oil change and get the car running good, we got to put new oil in it. It takes 90 days.
Mm-hmm. Right. So 2 things. for those that are listening and you are interested, you must be a member of Kingdom Holistic Health Ministries to get the discounts. And you can reach me at 414-676-0842, and we'll talk about your membership. And then we can get you guys going. I do have another question for you guys. It's from a good friend of mine's in Texas. And he says, how does biblical principles help with PTSD in soldiers that are affected by sleepless nights, flashbacks, cause the mind of warriors are in fight or flight versus forgiveness?
You want to go first?
Could you read that again?
Yeah. It says, how does the biblical principles help with PTSD in soldiers that are affected by sleepless nights, flashbacks, cause the mind of warriors are in fight or flight versus forgiveness?
Okay, well, first thing that comes to mind is that there are scriptures that are specific to take an authority over the challenge, whatever it is. And basically, no weapon formed against someone who is righteous will prosper. I would be sharing the biblical verses and having that person say that all over and over and over again until it becomes part of their DNA. And there are things that you can do. There are certain essential oils. There are things that you can do from a very simplistic baseline. And if you were doing a scan, an AO scan, we would send you tones that would actually help with the emotions. And you listen to those tones specific with headphones on because they're no one else's tones. Those tones would help to ease your mind and ease your spirit and help bring you more into a balance. But from that perspective, those are two areas that I would start with because, as you said, the battlefield is in the mind. And when you're not sleeping well, your mind can play tricks on you. But the tones would definitely help with that as well. And then backing that up with their sword and their shield through the word, that would bring things down to or bring things up actually to a higher frequency, which would be more manageable and help with the next steps.
Right. So a lot of things that are incorporated in an AO scan, as she just mentioned, is something called an inner voice report. So when we get that inner voice, all of that, not basically trying to paraphrase for the questioner, but the energetic patterns from the fear, from the shock, from the trauma, from the stress, right? That emergency that person went through. It caused panic, disorientation, loss of consciousness, whatever. PTSD is a very difficult diagnosis and it affects the brain immensely. And I've worked with Dr. Daniel Amen, who's one of the top neurologists on planet Earth. And he's the only one that actually takes pictures of the brain and can explain PTSD. Most psychologists just put you on a drug, right? But you got to understand, there's an energetic pattern that is actually embedded into your head. So the AO scan picks that up. There's that frequency. It gives you another frequency to help cancel that out, right? These frequencies actually heal us. So how do you heal from a PTSD? You got to find the frequencies that negate the fear, the hysteria, the trapped energetic pattern that's in. And when we talk about a biblical aspect, right? Profound trauma emergencies are going to cause pain and shock, not just to the physical body, but to the soul. Right? It's deeply terrifying. You might have a belief system, thou shalt not kill, and you just killed. You're trained to do that. That's a shock already to your soul. Even though you've been trained and you took an oath to defend your country, the soul can still have a shock from that because the soul says, I'm not supposed to do that, but I understand why I'm doing it. But there's a conflict. I see that in PTSD. I've worked with Vietnam vets. I've worked with Gulf War. I've worked with all of that. And, I see that all the time, that the spiritual self
Excuse me.
almost is disconnected from the physical body.
Mhm.
So we need to bring in vibrations, frequencies. There are herbs, there are teas, there are tinctures, there are extracts. There's something called the 5-flower formula that works really good for PTSD. That's very benign. First, do no harm. It helps the body come back to harmony and reconnects to the mind so that we get in contact with our higher self again. I said earlier in this broadcast that I think a lot of the evil in the world is because we forgot God. People that are making decisions, the people that are pushing their money and their power around, forgot their CEO. And that's causing PTSD all over the place. So whether it's a mild form or a massive form from a trauma like a war wound, is there things we can do to help that person? Yes, that requires consultation. That requires sitting down, find out what kind of medication around, what's their lifestyle about, what's really been going on, and get to the heart of the onion. And it takes time to heal from that shock. But that's really what we do here. We're helping people with that all the time.
Okay, another question. It says, can you talk about the change? Talk about the change up in foods and how that is being done to strategically make us sicker, so we can really. So wait a minute, I'm trying to read it how you said it. So we can really on brought doctors who don't treat the problem rather than band-aiding the symptoms.
Right. So I just read an article this week about how they're trying to mandate chemically created meats for the military, like forcing the military. So the idea is that people, the powers that be, have lost perspective and they think they are God. And they think that it's better to create something in a lab than to actually have us respect to nature, dealing with foods in nature. They don't like natural manure. It's better life through chemistry. And so Monsanto created, glyphosate, which is a known carcinogen and it's still on the market, but it's a pesticide. So we'll have a greater yield. Or someone came up with the idea to genetically modify and change a wheat seed so that it would sustain the elements when it was planted in the ground. And now it's a protein basically that is not digestible we haven't evolved as people to be able to digest the product. And so there's a lot of people that are gluten intolerant. No matter what way you turn, there's so many aspects right now of bureaucrats that are trying to change and control our food chain. They're trying to limit the people's ability to access natural organic things. I had a discussion with an EENT the other day who said, anecdotally, I think that homeopathy is a great way to navigate some health problems. But these companies are usually smaller. They can't do the research that the big pharma can do. So they get pushed under the rug and they're just trying to help as many people as they can. And they're getting beaten down because the FDA won't support them because there's not money in it for the pharmaceutical. So you've got a political aspect. You've got, farmers going under because there's all these corporate farms that, they take milk, for example, from a cow. They pasteurize it, they fortify it, and they do all these things to it. Well, it's no longer cow's milk. After you've added heat to it, it took all the healthy properties out of it. So I feel like there's a lot of frankenfoods out there that are not going to produce healthy cells. That's not bioavailable. The body won't recognize it, can't make healthy tissue from it, and therefore start to manifest different problems. For example, in the digestive tract, now we have in the traditional world, we have a digestive problem. So we go to the traditional medical doctor and they'll give us something for our gut, to stop the process, but they haven't addressed the underlying problem. So it perpetuates, it becomes a bigger problem and a bigger problem. And it's really great money The goal of big pharmacy, is to have everybody in their meds, even our children. The way that they are successful is by creating a problem. I'm going to say it, creating a problem and then trying to create the way to manage it. So I think that there's a lot of regulation that's going on that is not really for our highest and best good. It's just the way that they're going after it through chemicals is not going to be met with the body kindly. It will not be able to create healthy tissue cells. Therefore, it'll create more dis-ease. And that's the shorter version, if you will. So what do you think, Doc?
I wish we had 3 hours.
Right?
I'll say this. I'll make it really short. Live food, live body. You eat dead food, you get a dead body. That's all you need to know. And what we're eating is dead food. Grow your own. Support your local farmers market. Go
Right.
non-GMO.
Know your source.
Know your source, and stay local. And do not subscribe to big ag or big pharma. They
Right.
do not have your interest at mind. We need to become more localized. We need to become more of a community of helping each other. We got to go back to that. And even doctors have to do that. I think a perfect world is if we went back to a time where doctors made house calls and the community just took care of the doctor by feeding them and housing them. Instead of giving $500,000 a year in a boat. There's something to be said about that. Communities working together in the interest of expanding the consciousness, the soul, and proper health. And when you don't have health, you don't have anything.
Right.
You lose everything. You lose your money. You lose everything. Once you lose your health, you lose everything. Even your ability to help others, which is the greatest disservice to God, because we're all here to help each other.
Right.
So yeah, food is bad. Okay. And Dr. Houston and I would love to do a podcast just on food. And believe me, we would blow your minds on what's going on. Because if you knew, I'll give you this little caveat right now. Okay. This will wake you up. If they had to label transparently cheese, non-organic in the state of Wisconsin, you would need a prescription to buy it. If you want to know why, stay tuned for a future broadcast. You'll learn things like that. You'll find out that they're putting drugs in your cheese since 1986 without your knowledge. It's called rennet, R-E-N-N-E-T-T. Look it up. Organic cheese is the only cheese that doesn't have synthetic chemical Pfizer-based rennet. And here we are, the biggest, second biggest dairy state in the union?
Right.
And we're eating drugs. Yeah, food needs a lot of help.
Wow.
Yeah, wow.
Well, one thing I love about this is really, really, really good. But we are sad to say we're at our hour. So what I'm going to do is put you guys up on the screen to give your last. Oh, and just for everybody to know, we will be doing a monthly show with Kingdom Holistic Health Ministries. We will be doing a monthly show. If you guys desire the service, my number is on the screen. You need to call me. You need to become a member of Kingdom Holistic Health Ministries to get the discounts that both doctors have said they will give you for their service to help you become a better temple for the kingdom of God. So I'm excited about that. The gentleman from Houston said, thank you for the feedback. Thank you, Dr. King, for bringing this platform. However, let's see, it is long. Okay. However, where did he go? However, healing starts in the soul, then to the mind, then to the physical. I spoke with a VA mental health professional and currently seeing the last one Monday, and none has given this much information like Dr. J said. Usually they evaluate and prescribe medicine, and I'm not taking any because my I hyperventilate and surviving mode mentally is activated. I'm in Texas for R&R away from the war zone, which was in my neighborhood. I haven't healed from the event caused the system let the enemy go on the wrong charges. So I am consistently in battle daily, but not as served. Thanks. So I want to say to my friend, my brother, I can say his name, brother Curtis. You definitely need these doctors here. Give me a call. You got my number. Uh, we can talk more, and I can hook you up with them. And I'll never bring anything into the community to hurt the community. I'm always bringing stuff that's going to help and empower the community. And these two right here, God gave them to me. So I'm blessed to have them both with me. Part of Kingdom Holistic Health Ministries. Guys, God is putting stuff in front of you. It's up to you to take advantage of what God is offering you, or you can continue to go down the path and you praying to God every day, asking to get your life back in order and to be more healthy. So he's giving you the answer to your prayers. You just got to want to take it. So what I'm going to do is ladies first. So I'm going to come to you first, Dr. Houston, and you can give your spiel and whatever else you want to say.
My spiel. Well, my spiel is it's my greatest honor to be able to serve anyone and everyone who wants to create a healthier and a more vibrant lifestyle. Like I said earlier, on earth as it is in heaven. And we are commanded to bring that. And God's promises are always faithful. So I'm honored to be here. And I believe God brought Dr. J and Dr. David and myself together so we could do a mighty works, and he could do a mighty works through us. So if you're interested in having physical chiropractic care or an AO scan, I would be honored to help you with either or both. And I look forward to more opportunities like this. And I thank you. Have a wonderfully blessed day.
All righty. Dr. J.
Thank you, everyone, for tuning in, listening. I hope you like it. Please send comments, or even disliked, what you would like more of. Help us to help you. What is it you want? And hopefully we can continue this type of platform from an educational perspective. As Dr. Houston said so eloquently, the definition of doctor means to teach. And if you go to any doctor and don't learn anything, you need a new doctor. Okay? Health ultimately is the expression par excellence of the soul. That's the whole reason I'm here. It's not here to just say, everything's physical. No, there is the mental health, the emotional health, the spiritual health. And this is what holistic means. And this health ministry's mission is to make sure that you are on par excellence, that you feel good. No, none of us get out alive, right? No one lives forever. But what I will always say, it's how you die. Do you want to live a long, strong life in the service of the Lord? Or are you going to go through it suffering? You don't have to suffer. There are ways to heal your body, your mind, your soul, and your emotions. We have ideas to help you. That's the whole point. Then you're living out his mission through your temple. And you are the vessel to carry that message forward. That's why we're doing this. So that, hey, maybe you live to 80, 90, or with the help, even longer. But at least you'll wake up in the morning, feel good, and know where your car keys are. That's what we can bring to you. That's not just a promise, because we do it every day. And we wouldn't be hitching our wagon to this unless both Dr. Houston and I and David all felt the same way. We're here for you. Please give us a call. We'll help you any way we can. We're trying to discount our services. We have to keep the lights on. Please understand that's the way the world works. We're not here to make money. We're here to make your money work for you so that you get the health that you're looking for. Thank you for listening. Appreciate it. God bless.
Amen. And so again, To get those discounts, you have to be a member of Kingdom Holistic Health Ministries. Give me a call, 414-676-0842, and I can show you how to become a member of Kingdom Health Holistic Ministry. Also, I just want to say to these two, thank you for being a part of this ministry. I think this ministry is going to help people all over this country. We got people listening from Texas, from Mississippi, from Georgia. I think I saw South Carolina on here. So I'm excited about it. And yeah, so Florida, we got people everywhere watching. And so this is going to be a blessing. We do have another doctor, right, Dr. J?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Dr. Tara Hartman also would like to be a part of this. Yeah. And she's in Manitowoc, Sheboygan area.
Yes. And we will have her also on the show. And again, I am not neither one of those kind of doctors. I am a doctor of theology. So don't say I'm practicing medicine or don't say I'm doing, no, I got the experts, so nobody can say that. I got the experts here to answer all you guys' questions. So we, again, thank you guys for watching. We thank you guys for being with us. Until our next show, stay strong, stay healthy in the Lord. God bless.